Welcome back to another episode of GNM. This is the third episode with my good friend from the ACLU, Kelly Garcia-Chavez. Kelly, I want to thank you so much for being here.
Hi, nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. What I found so intriguing about you and why I wanted you here is because last year we went to with the ACLU up to the Senate, and you spoke about your story and how passionate you were about everything you did, and it was very deep, and it stuck with me, and I still have the video of it, and I heard it from time to time, and you're very passionate about everything that you want to accomplish out here to help and give back to the community. So I just want to thank you for that also, because we don't have a lot of our raza that's going out there and giving back. There's not very many of us.
And I believe the reason why there's not very many of us is because that we've been targeted, and we don't think that our voice is important. But I'm trying to show our people and the community that our voice is important. That they have always, like, well, you know my background. I went and I did 18 years in prison, and when I got out, I didn't think that my story would help anybody. But I've started, when I found my voice and I started telling my story, and I started telling my story to lawmakers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where my story goes, because I want to help where it's impacted my life and
the life
laws,
of others,
and the life of others, of mostly the people, the communities that are impacted, and because I grew up in those communities.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in the South Valley, well, like, not even the South Valley, in Morelos, and that right there, that community is targeted, and and I just want to give back to my community and show our people that our voice is important, and you are important, and let's fix things instead. Let's get to the underlying problem instead of all these tough on crime bills and stuff.
you talked about your stories, and which is a hell of a story. But how did your story start? Like, were you born here, and you grew up here? Where did you go to school and stuff?
Oh, well, okay, I was born here in Albuquerque, and I grew up here, but my mom, she had got sick, and when my mom got sick, they moved us to Santa Fe, and my mom started making her life out there, so I was going back and forth from here to Santa Fe, and then my mom got killed. My mom got killed in Santa Fe.
Sorry to hear that.
By her bartender. Huh?
How old were you?
I was 10.
Ow.
And
wow.
The guy that killed my mom was her bartender. And he had put me and my brother in the closet while he killed my mom, and like I think about that, and if that guy was alive today, because my brother ended up killing him, and if he was alive today, I would want him to get some kind of help, because I know something was wrong there.
Yeah.
I'm not only, I didn't only just go to prison, and I've done my bad, but I paid my debt to society, but I also am a crime survivor, and
that's a seriously violent crime. And with your brother, little brother.
Yeah.
So this person who did this to your mother put you and your little brother in a closet.
Yeah.
While he committed this crime.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then as I got older, I got in the game and started hustling, and
How old were you at this point when you started hustling?
I was 12.
Damn.
I was 12. I started, hustling and just running amok, and I really didn't have to, but that's the life that I chose for myself, I guess. And I landed up in the girls' home. They sent me to the girls' home for fighting, and because I didn't want to pay for some girls' contact lenses. I guess that. And
that was your first taste of...
Yeah, that was the first taste of being locked up. And that was the first time I have ever got in trouble.
Did it scare you at all being locked up there when you were little? Or was it just part of just growing up?
I believe it was just part of growing up. I that's what I thought at the time, I guess. Because, like, there was a point in my life where I would go into places like that and get comfortable.
That's not normal.
That's not normal.
Especially for a little kid.
Yeah, and, while today, if I was to get locked up, I wouldn't know what to do. I would cry like a little bitch, probably.
Yeah.
But that's, it's because I changed my life completely. And,
at that time, when you started getting in trouble, after that horrible thing happened with your mother, were you living with family members?
Yes, I was going back and forth from my dad to my aunt to my grandma, and then my dad, like, poor thing, like, he stuck by me through it all.
So they were positive role models.
Yes.
So there was no neglection or nothing. That was just your road that you chose to. That was your lane that you chose to ride on. Because you had a positive influence at home after that, but you still wanted to...
I guess angry because of what I seen my mother go through.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I don't know why I took that road, but I did. And it had a negative, a negative part in my life, but it also turned it into a positive, because now that I've changed my life, I've turned my passion into helping people that are locked up. And, I fight for people that don't have a voice.
Yeah.
Because I guess you could say when I was a little girl, I didn't have a voice.
And now you have a voice, and and you have a voice for other people too.
Yes.
That's what when I started making music, man, and the fact that my partner was doing time in prison, he always reminded me, don't forget about the brothers that are in here. So I always incorporated that in my music, no matter how many albums or whatever. I always put it in there that I didn't forget about them. And because you really are forgotten. In a sense, you are forgotten, and people just kind of like throw you away. But there's people that still give a damn and care about you. And I don't know that perspective like you do, but it must be very important for you to do that back for them, especially from a female standpoint.
Yes, it is. And the men and the women, they do their time very differently. And all the years that I spent there, I've seen women with no kind of skin at all. None.
No support.
None at all.
From the families outside, you mean?
Yeah, they forget about them, and it's sad. Like I was fortunate to have, the support that I did have the whole time I was there. But these girls are forgotten, and it's sad. And not only that, and even this happens to the men too.
Yeah.
But more so the women, because the guys can get a girl to go visit them, whatever. You know what I mean? The girls.
Oh, I've seen that. I've seen that game. That's a hell of a scam too that some of these dudes run on these females, man.
Yeah.
I've seen it. They got 4 or 5 sugar mamas on the outside that they call, and they're sending them money. They go visit, that kind of stuff. So I've seen it.
And it's not like that for the women. Once they fall off, it falls off, and it's really sad. And then the system what it's, the women are a minority in the system, regardless of what they're doing. They're a minority. There's no help for them. There's one program out here for them.
What's that program?
And it's Crossroads. And I really don't back it, because they don't help everybody.
Damn. What programs do they have in sight to help?
None.
None?
None. They have an MRT. They have what they call RDAP, but like when I first started going to prison, it was there to help you, but now it's just statistical. There's statistical programs. We have this many people going through here, and it's for funding, and that's all that is for. And it's really, really sad that those programs have turned out that way. But like what they're doing is they're locking people up and throwing away the key. They're not educating them. They're not giving them trades. They're not giving them programs. They're nothing. And 95% of the people that are incarcerated are going to land up back in our communities. Mm-hmm. And what we need to do is we need to bring them home and get them involved in our communities. And we want them to come out here and be productive members of society and be involved. But how do you do that when they're, the Department of Corrections is sitting here saying, oh, we're doing this, we're doing that, but they're not. They're locking them up and throwing away the key. So how do we get to that? And that's why I have gotten involved in what I have, because of
the lack of help.
The lack of help that people have coming out.
I've seen on the news just this last week, man, that there's all these little kids out here. They're like 12, 13, 14, and they commit real violent crimes. And when they're locked up in these juvenile places, they give them a choice. You can go to school or do your counseling and stuff like that. I think most of them are made to go to some kind of school program while they're locked in there, but they have the choice whether to accept or not to go to counseling. I think counseling is a very important part of at least finding out something that's wrong and give them better understanding why they're behaving this way or what's doing it to them. But they don't make them. So is that what they offer for adults also? They don't, you have the option to go to counseling every day or to group therapies or anything?
No.
These little dudes have that option, but a lot of them ain't taking it up on there. And that's probably why when they come out, they don't have any knowledge of why things are happening to them, or they haven't discovered the reason or the root of the problem. And they do come from hard backgrounds too, though.
And that's true. For the adults, what they do is after they book you in, you get evaluated by security, by your classification, and then you go to this committee hearing, and they tell you, well, you got to work. This is your job assignment, and you can either reject it. Well, you could reject it and not go and get written up and lose your good time, whatever. But that's how you get your good time. Like, if you want to go to school, you got to ask, and you got to go through a committee. And, but is there school? No, there's not. They say there is, but in reality, there's not. Like, you have to be fortunate to pay for it. You got to pay for school.
Can you get your GED in there? Is it hard to get your education in there, your diploma, GED, anything in there? Do they make it hard on you to get it first?
Yeah.
Is there a waiting list before you can go to school?
There's what they've done, instead of the classrooms, everything's on a computer now. So it's like
homeschool.
Like homeschool, and not everybody can get to a computer. So.
And not everybody's computer savvy.
Yeah, exactly.
Or just basic knowledge of how to use a computer. So that's another complicated thing for somebody who wants to get their education, because they don't know how to navigate around that part.
Yeah, and they're like everything. Like the Department of Corrections, you know, I'm going to say it, they're wrong for their shit. They are.
Just you can speak your mind.
They are. They're wrong for their shit because they're getting millions. They got $10 million just and they're supposed to educate. They're supposed to get trades, and are they doing it? No.
Oh.
They blow smoke up the lawmakers' asses, you know, and they tell them, oh, we're doing this with the money, and then they have $3 million. They have an extra $3 million for reentry, and are they using that for reentry? No, they're not.
So what are they doing?
Who knows?
But there's nothing that.
Because last year, when they did the budget for the Department of Corrections, they gave them $10 million and then $3 million for reentry. And $10 million was to educate and, you know, to run it, and the other prisons, the privately ran prisons, and
Like the Civic Corps, Civic, whatever, Corps Civic.
Yeah, and Corps Civic and GO, and there's another one, which they need to get rid of, because it's
the privately owned one.
Yeah, they're really inhumane, and they're doing whatever the hell they want. But on a good note, the Duran Decree is coming back into play.
Okay, and that's what?
When, you know, in fact, you know, the prison riot is, you know, the anniversary is coming up on the prison riot. And the Duran Decree was...
The 80s, right? For that thing that happened in the 80s in Santa Fe.
Yeah, and it's the 40th anniversary. It's coming up, or it's today or something. But the Duran Decree all came up about that riot, and it gave the prisoners some kind of rights. So, you know, on a good note, that in fact, that amendment is being heard Monday in federal court, which is a good thing.
I hope so.
And what it's going to do is it's going to give them some kind of rights and get an oversight on the prisons and how our people are getting treated, and, you know, the food.
I see a lot of that bullshit happening. Like when you go to if something happens and they send you to the hall, and they just really just forget about you. And when we went with the ACLU last year, it was to prevent them from holding them more than 45 days.
At that time the policy says that they couldn't be held no more than 30 days.
30 days.
Okay, but what they did was they gutted that bill so bad. But it's a step in the right direction. And that solitary confinement bill, as of right now, it only it protects people with mental health problems, pregnant women, and children. And
so you're able to still get mental health help. If you got mental health and they put you in there, you're still able to talk to a doctor on a daily basis, or? Not
on a daily basis, but you're supposed to be able to talk to a therapist on a daily basis, on call. But right now, what they have, they have a pod, and they call it X-Pod. They're not even supposed to be using these solitary confinement pods. And what they're doing is they're hiding them. And, you know, that bill, that solitary confinement bill, what it did was it also made the Department of Corrections put out a database on everybody that's in solitary confinement and how long they've been there and why they're there, and, you know, it's all public record.
Wow.
And, well, they ain't even doing that right, because I know some people that are in solitary confinement right now. In fact, my husband is. My husband's still in solitary confinement. He's been there. He's been there for, he's going on his second year. I seen him Saturday and he's lost so much weight. He told me that they're feeding him only 2 sack lunches a day. He's not allowed to order commissary. He's not, and that's what he lives on. Mm-hmm. So how do you survive? And
what if you're starving?
And
you're basically starving him.
Yeah, because they give you 2 sack lunches a day, how do you he went in there weighing 230 pounds. Now he maybe weighs 180.
Damn.
That's a lot of weight.
And you can't talk to nobody about that to complain about it?
I have, and I'm on it, and in fact, I have a active lawsuit right now.
Because that's health issues, courts. Man. You could hurt somebody.
And
we're all different too. Something you might be able to do, or something he might be able to do. What and I diet, and they tell you to do this fasting stuff, and for 16 hours you can't eat. And I'm like, I struggle, or even just 12 hours. So I can't imagine not being able to get enough nutrition to take care of your daily need, your basic needs.
And he told me that it's hard, that he just works out, and he goes, and I ain't even trying to lose weight. And the way I keep my mind right is work out. And
these gentlemen, do they get any time outside during the day?
If they can.
How often can they shower, and do they get an hour or 2 a day to go outside to get some sun?
For X-Pod, it's if they have time to take them outside.
Mm-hmm. So if they don't feel like doing it.
Yeah, if they don't feel like doing it, you're not going.
Mm.
They don't get no time out of their room unless they're taken to the shower. And when they're taken to the shower, they're cuffed in the shower. How do you take a regular shower with cuffs on? Yeah. How do you maneuver that?
And there is I guess there is some very violent criminals, and that they have to take those precautions for. But should they do that according to their crime, or the way they're labeled, or whatever it might be that they have them in there for?
Let me tell you this. The people that are in solitary confinement ain't violent offenders.
Wow.
It's just people that either the COs are threatened by because they don't want them on the line anymore, or they just don't want them on the line, period.
So is your husband allowed to call you every day?
No.
How often do you hear from him?
I haven't talked to my husband on the phone since June 28th of 18.
How is that even possible? How can they do that to somebody?
That pod that he's in doesn't have a phone. He's not allowed to have any electronics. He's not even allowed to have books. They barely gave him a Bible the other day because like I told you, I have an active lawsuit right now that they have.
So most of your communication with them is through letters?
Yeah.
They can't take that from him, right?
No, they can't take that from him. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Would be nice if that was him calling you.
Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah. So your only form of communication with them is through
letters.
Postal.
Yes.
And then when you go see him.
Yeah. I get to see him once a month. And that's
sad. How many hours? 2 hours?
Yeah. 2 hours, and it's not even a contact visit. It's through a glass.
And if you don't mind me asking, how long will he be in there?
He has 2 years left.
Why are they making his final 2 years so hard on him? So he could be able to transition into his parole.
He's I've asked that, and they told me it's none of my business. And I said, yes, it is.
Ain't that some shit? You're his wife.
Yeah, that's what I told him. I was like, what?
So they don't have rights? That's what they're saying?
That's what. Basically, but like I said, I have a lawsuit, an active lawsuit right now that's in federal court. and it's challenging the conditions of confinement, and it's to shut the solitary confinement pods down, and also it'll what the prayer is that that solitary confinement gets shut down, and they get compensated, all the guys in that pod.
Wow.
And I just didn't file it for my husband, I filed it for all of them.
And seeing that someone you love is going through this, something that you went through for a long time, and a lot of family that you probably know and friends, is that what made you become an activist?
Well, actually, what made me become an activist is when I got locked up. I was a juvenile, and they charged me as an adult, and they made me go to school. They told me, you're going to get your GED, and I said, all right. They said, because if you don't get your GED, you're not going to get out. I said, all right. So I went to school, got it in a week. A week that I was in school, I ended up taking the GED, got it really fast. I went to committee, and they told me, do you know how to type? And I said, like this.
I still do that.
And they said, oh, you'll do just fine. They put me in the law library. That was the best thing they ever did for me, because I got my head in those books. And I would see everybody's case that walked through there. Everybody. And then I would help people with reconsiderations, with appeals, with habeases, and I wasn't even like educated to do this, but I taught myself how to do it. And one of my big wins was it's Nano Vallejos versus the state of Bill Snodgrass, and I got her life sentence overturned.
Oh wow! While you were in there?
Yeah, while I was in there.
Wow.
And I started seeing how corrupt the system was, and that's what made me start advocating for our rights. Because like little by little, I seen the system was changing, and they were taking things. I mean, I remember one time they took our milk. We didn't have milk for months, and like I caused a big old stink, and like I wrote a trash bag full of letters to every single media in New Mexico to let them know that this is where your tax dollars are going, and like they're taking our milk, our nutrition, our five
major food groups, yeah.
Our 5 major food groups ain't being met, and blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden we got our cows back. And
and were you the only one standing up to that thing at that time?
There was a couple of girls that I worked with in the law library. One was Annette Ripper, Sandra Marsh, and Mary Herrera. And these girls are old timers, and they're the ones, when I got in that law library, they told me, you're going to learn something and you're going to get your head in them books. Those old ladies today, I'll never forget them. Never in my life.
They put a spark in you to make a change. Is that why you got involved with ACLU?
Actually, when I got involved advocating out here, I went to a prisoner strike rally, and Celinda told me, will you tell your story? And I was like, I've never done that.
It intrigued me.
And that's where it all started. And like I would tell my story here and there, and just in little places, and then all of a sudden I got involved with the ACLU.
You know what's the coolest thing about being there with you guys that one day? Just to end mass incarceration, right? And all these bills that were going into effect is Senator Padilla came in and he told all of us, you guys, this is yours. He says, we work for you. Don't let them look down on you. You walk and you ask questions. We went around the whole thing, and we were looked at kind of funny. And, well, you know, being with high-profile people, you're going to get that, I guess. But when he told us, we work for you guys. Don't be afraid to speak your mind. Just be respectful. So when I absorbed all those things in, man, and I went back like, wow, that's amazing. And just to have organizations like the ACLU just taking the initiative to stand up to those people that don't want recidivism to work, or they don't believe in it and they just want to keep you tied down, it's a beautiful thing.
And it's like, just like I said, when at that day, I remember what I said, and like I tell everybody, your voice is so important. Like, you know, we've been told that we don't have a say-so. Yeah, we do have a say-so. You know, whose house is that? It's our house.
It's our house.
That's our house. And you know, that chant that we did, like that it's powerful because that is our house.
Si se puede.
Yeah.
It was cool, man. It was really nice. And
in fact, we're having another mass incarceration day.
I know.
Wednesday, and I'm excited because, you know, we have a lot of people coming up, and you know, I want them to know that their voice is important, and like what I do at the ACLU is I'm the volunteer coordinator, and you know,
so you're gonna have to deal with all of us.
Yeah. and if they need support and help talking, because, you know, the first time I did it to talk to them, I got scared. And I had a panic attack. I had a panic attack in a committee meeting when I was testifying. And
wow.
And I was telling them my story a little bit, and I had a panic attack, and, you know, you need, you know, and I'm there to support people that, you know, are going to testify, and just to navigate your way around the Capitol, because it's I still get lost. Man. You know, you get lost in a circle.
Mm-hmm.
I know I do.
Literally.
I
did. We walked a lot that day.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was a blessing to be there.
Wear some walking shoes.
I will.
Wear some walking shoes.
And besides the mass incarceration day you got coming up this week, is there anything else you wanna tell the public that they might not know, and how they can get involved as activists also, or advocates?
You know, if they want to get involved, you know, just reach out to me. You could get me on Facebook or get a hold of me at the ACLU through my email. My email is on the mass incarceration flyer, or you know, you can just put my information on.
I'll put everything on the link so people get a hold of you.
And then also, like I'm also involved in Millions for Prisoners and Save the Kids.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they're doing some real important work. You know, we have so many ideas popping up, but what we're trying to do is, you know, so far what we've done is we've gotten a couple of lifers out.
Wow.
So, and what we do is we just help the people that are coming out. We help them get back into the community, and you know, kind of take them by the...
The transition is difficult.
It is. It's difficult, especially if you've done life.
Mm-hmm.
If you've done half of your life in there, more than half of your life. You know, you come out to technology's changed. Things have changed, and you know, what we do is we just help people connect back into society, and
it's good that they have
we advocate for them.
It's good that they have that support too, because some people might not have the family support. And if they got someone they can turn to, even if it's somebody, well, you've been there, so you know how hard it is. So you're there for that support. So that's great. And I wanted to give a shout out to New Mexicans Against Child Abuse.
Yeah.
That's another beautiful organization. And I really wanted to thank you, man, for being there that day. Really changed my life, and hearing your story, it just stuck with me, man. And we just kept, man, that lady's amazing. I said that story is just incredible, and I was blown away by it. So you have somebody here on your side. So if you ever feel like you don't have somebody with you, and if there's anything I could ever do for you to help, and anything, if you guys have fundraisers or anything, I got a lot of friends in the music. If there's anything we can do to help raise money or raise awareness, I'm just a call away, and I know Jeffrey feels the same way. So if you ever need us for anything, you got our number.
Thank you.
So if you ever need anything, don't hesitate to call. No, how big or small.
Thank you.
Okay?
Because there's a lot of help that needs to be there.
Well, all you got to do is ask.
In fact, like, we have a probation and parole bill that's coming up that is going to make... they're trying to make things worse. I'm hoping that it doesn't go anywhere. But, like I said, there's...
You never know.
You know, all the work we did last year is... We're getting slapped in the face this year. Because they're resistant bills to what we did last year. And then it's election year, so...
So they're trying to go harder and make examples like we're not to be messed with.
Yeah, and you know, election year is when these tough on crime bills come out because they're up for re-election. And are they safe for our communities? No, they're not. They're not safe for communities. They're not. They're targeting them. Mm-hmm. And it just, I wish that, like, some of these lawmakers would, like, really snap in, get to the underlying problem instead of thinking, well, if we make this tough on crime bill, it's going to stop. And it's not. It's just going to stop. It's not going to stop it. It's not going to help it. Let's get to the underlying crime, and let's put resources out there to help people that are struggling with addiction, struggling with homelessness, struggling with mental health issues, struggling with domestic violence, because let's get to the underlying problem. Don't attack it, don't criminalize it. Let's try to work at it and get resources to help it.
Give people the tools to get their so they can get their goals met.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
What you're saying. And I hope that doesn't go on deaf ears for anybody watching, man. And once again, I really want to thank you. I'm so grateful for you and for the ACLU. Like I said, if there's anything you need from me, you just let me know.
The ACLU is doing some big things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I'm so thankful for them too.
Me too.
And they're amazing. Those are amazing people that work there. And I'm just blessed to be there. And
they need someone like you, because you're tough.
Thanks.
And ain't no one gonna push. If anybody pushes back, I know it's gonna be you, and not just settle for anything that you feel is uncivilized.
I don't take no for an answer.
I wanted to thank you. That's and for our third episode. This is Kelly. I'm gonna leave her information on the link below. And thank you for watching. God bless you, and thank you so much for coming.
Thanks.
I'm grateful for you. Thank you.
Thanks.
See you guys. Peace.